In the year 39, the Trung sisters led a rebellion of over 80,000 Vietnamese. They seized 65 Chinese fortresses and forced the mandarins to flee. They had 36 women among their generals, including their mother, and died fighting after 3 years. The Celtic queen Boudica led British tribes in a revolt against the Roman Empire after the rape of her daughters and other injustices in the year 60. They burned London and Colchester to the ground and came close to forcing the Romans out. The Arab queen Zainab, or Zenobia of Palmyra, fought the Roman legions for years, leading armies on horseback. She routed the invaders the first time and held them off for another 4 years before Syria finally fell. 1,000 years before, Samsi, the female chieftain of the Kidri tribes, led a North Arabian insurrection against the fell Assyrian Empire. Maria Candelaria raised a major Maya revolt against the Spanish after they destroyed a shrine she had built. The colonials crushed the outgunned Maya resistance, but were never able to capture Maria. Gabriela Silang led the Ilocos rebellion against Spanish rule in 1763 and pulled out some victories. She was captured in a daring attack on a Spanish garrison and went to her execution with calm bravery. In 1791, the old African priestess Cécile Fatiman inaugurated the Haitian Revolution with a Vodou ceremony in the Bois Caiman. Carrying the Loa goddess Ezili Danto, she blessed the rebel leader Boukman with her Petro staff. Anne Wood led a group of other teenagers in fighting off slave catchers. 2 of them were slain, and the rest escaped to freedom. Lakshmi Bai, the Rani of Jhansi, led a major insurrection against English rule of India in 1858. Many other women fought the British Empire. In Zimbabwe, Nhanda Nyakasikana led the Chimurenga in 1896. The Shona prevailed at first, but after 2 years, Nhanda finally surrendered to save her people from the devastating machine guns. She was defiant up to her last breath on the gallows. Ya Asantewa led the Asante Rebellion of 1900 in Ghana. If you, the men of Ashanti, will not go forward, then we will. We, the women, will. We will fight the white men. We will fight until the last of us falls in the battlefield. Chojin advocated for women's rights and against foot binding and female slavery, asking, "Is it sweet to live lower than cattle?" She led a girls' school, founded a women's newspaper, and was executed for sedition in 1907 for resisting Manchu rule. Carolyn Norton changed English laws that made women legal minors and gave husbands absolute rights over wives' bodies, property, earnings, and children. She got Parliament to reform laws on child custody, marriage, and divorce, with far-reaching effects. Matilda Joslyn Gage was an activist of the 19th century women's rights movement who was later written out of its history for being too radical. Her inclusive vision embraced African emancipation, Indian sovereignty, labor, and prisoners' rights. Gage also broke new ground in women's history and courageously pointed out the Church's role in subjugating women. Anna Julia Cooper spoke out on black women's despairing fight as of an entrapped tigress to keep hallowed their own persons from social violence. She pushed white feminists to overcome caste bias and called on black men to become their sisters' keepers. Cooper urged education for black girls, not the boys less, but the girls more, pointing out what sacrifices black women made for their children's education. She herself earned a doctorate from the Sorbonne at 66. The Lakota writer Gertrude Bannon was also a pan-Indian political activist. and an orator who marshaled support for human rights and attacked the corrupt Bureau of Indian Affairs. In 1926, she founded and headed the National Council of American Indians. Kushida Toshiko was the first Japanese woman to speak in public for women's rights, and drew crowds. She was once jailed for saying that women's horizons should be as large and free as the world itself. Pandita Ramabai spoke out passionately against child marriage, widow oppression, prostitution, female infanticide, poverty, and caste injustice. She and her brother became public speakers for women's emancipation, and Ramabai began adopting street girls to save them from starvation and pimps, founding a refuge for child widows run by women.